After 25 years of Tibia having the same 4 vocations, we are finally getting a new addition, the monks, coming to Tibia in April 8th of 2025. This new vocation is a bit of a hybrid with things from all vocations, from melee fighting like a knight, to kiting like an RP, from healing like a druid, to attacking with spells or runes like an MS. Truly a new concept for Tibia players to experience, and on this channel I will be covering this vocation as it develops with hunting guides and tips. For this first video, I'm focusing on the low levels, where we all going to start. An introduction into the class, its equipment, playstyle and more. But first, a quick disclaimer. The recordings and information for this video was taken from the test server for the monk. There has been changes, and there still could be some new changes before its introduction to the live servers. That's the main reason I haven't made monk content until now, but this video covers the basics which didn't change much. With that said, let's begin the journey at Dawnport. Unlike the other vocations, monks are exclusive to Dawnport and cannot be played in Rukar, and in order to try out playing like a monk in Dawnport, you gotta go upstairs and step here to become a monk. Here you are introduced to the early playstyle of a monk, which is very close to an EK attacking one by one with single target attacks. However, the first change is the monk has a separate system called Harmony. If you play with the arcs active, it will show like this, but it can be customized if you wish. Generally, you will have a spell that will generate 1 charge of Harmony per use, and there are other spells which consume the charges of Harmony when used. The more you got, the higher damage it will do. The purple circle symbolizes the state of Serene. This gives you overall buffs when playing solo. The moment you are in a party with someone else, you lose the state of Serene, as long as they are within your screen. Perhaps aiming for this vocation to be more solo play oriented, and also being next to 5 monsters will take you off the Serene state, leading you towards a kiting vocation like mages later on. But for now, while you are at Dawnport, I would advise against playing as a monk because the low attack from the weapon will make it a much lower start, so go with any of the other vocations until you hit level 8 or probably level 10. And then to get out of Dawnport as a monk, become one and talk to Ambassador Manop. Ask him about the Gudii and he tells you to go find the shrines. You need to click on at least one and then you can come back and say hi, Gudii, yes, Seeker, yes, yes. In my case, he wasn't responding at first because I used a shrine before asking about the Gudii, but by saying bye and restarting the conversation, it worked for me. And with this, you're transported to the Blue Valley, the hometown of the monks, which you can get to by using the statues on the Adventurers Guild later on. Here you also receive an armor and amulet made for monks. In here you are encouraged to go meet Empadea to the northwest. Ask her about the pilgrimage and she will tell you about the threefold path, which is about finding shrines across Tibia to unlock different bonuses and equipments for the monk path. Additionally, this NPC sells most of the low level items and spells you will use as a monk. Your first purchase should be the Joe staff for 500 gold, which will be your main weapon until level 10. Then click on the statue to get teleported to the Thais Peninsula, and right away you find the first shrine of the 12, part of the Way of a Monk quest. This one will give you a pair of Boots of Alignment. Now here, you could start leveling on the rabbit wolves, but I'll be honest, monks are extremely weak, starting with the fact you cannot use a shield. You will be taking more damage from creatures than other vocations, and on top of that, coming out fresh from Dawnport with low skills will be even more of a struggle. So your options are the following: go offline train to get skills and come back the next day. Go to the city and grab the daily rewards for the health pots, and if you already got another character to provide you with some extra gold, then more health pots, and look for weaker creatures like trolls on Aventandriel or in Porthole. And depending on your budget, get an extra side wraps to increase your fist fighting, because monks are designed in a way that is meant to be weaker on the lower levels than other vocations, so it's not gonna be easy. That does not mean you need to overdo it. Simply getting skills around 40 to 50, which you can get with 1 durable wraps for 1.25kk, should be enough to start leveling normally. With that skills you can do rockworms, larvas and stuff like that. You should also buy a pair of monk vests from any weapon merchant in the city to have it in advance for when you hit level 10. Unfortunately, one of the nerfs the monk got off the server is the removal of the other weapon you could use at level 10, so now your weapon progression is more limited. At level 10 you can use either pair of monk vests or just staff, depending on the weakness of the creature to elements like energy, because another mechanic of monks is the elemental bond. Their weapons all do physical based damage, but each of them can do different damage on the spells based on the elemental bond, with the options being limited to physical, earth or energy. This will only apply to spells. The basic attack will be physical regardless if the weapon is of energy bond, but because of the creature's innate armor, against some of them you will do less damage using a double physical weapon with higher attack than one with energy or earth bond with less attack, especially if the creatures are weak to it, so keep that in mind. Here I will leave some spawns I think will be best depending on the weapon for the lower levels. Moving on now to spells. Monks have access to a vast majority of shared spells with other vocations, so at least up until level 60 this is what your progression of the spells will be like, pointing out that your first AoE attack comes at level 35, which covers 9 squares in the direction the monk is facing, and then at 60, one that covers 14 squares between the front and sides of the monk location. So before level 35, the hunting style is pretty basic with single target attacks and will use most of the hunting guides knights have currently, perhaps taking into consideration the weakness of the creature to certain elements. But unlike knights that have longer cooldown abilities, the monk can spam his main spell from Dawnport, the Swift Jab, which adds damage to each attack you do while generating harmony, and then you use Tiger Clash at full harmony for a big damage attack. At level 16, you include Double Jab into the rotation, which also generates harmony and does much more damage than the basic Swift Jab, but with a cooldown of 4 seconds it's not spammable, and at level 18 you improve to greater Tiger Clash. At level 20, you unlock the Spells of Virtue by getting promoted to Exalted Monk. There is the Virtue of Harmony, Justice and Sustain to pick from. Casting them will set you at that stage permanently, each aiming for a different style of playing, but this can be changed at any time by casting a different state of Virtue. The Virtue of Justice seems to be the best to go for at this low level, because it's like being permanently ultiroed. The Sustain is mostly for those aiming for a secondary healer type role, which is not something you benefit much at this level. But also at level 20, you should visit the second shrine of the Way of the Monk quest, located to the south of Thais. This also will give you a Fist of Alignment, becoming likely your main weapon for now. At level 30, you unlock the third shrine, which is located in Tirsun, part of the Ice Island questline. You will need to do the Barbarian test to get access to Tirsun, and then through levitating, you get to it in the Frost Giant's Mountain. This will grant you a new spell, the Mystic Repulse, which is a long cooldown single target spell that can be shot at range but for a high damage and does not consume harmony. And then at 35, you can buy your first AoE spell, the Flurry of Blows, with a cooldown of 4 seconds like Exori, but with the innate style of guiding monsters to hit most creatures, closer to using an energy or Terra Wave as a mage. So you likely will do better hunting as a mage at this point. Spawns like the Aeron Tomb, Upper Spike, and high density spawns in general, while potentially using runes in the attacks in between. These unfortunately I did not try during the test servers. The characters provided were level 8 and then it jumped to 150, leaving a lot of this lower level content to be determined. I was slowly working towards it, but not hard enough and lost my opportunity to get there on time before the test server was closed. But for now, with the release of the live servers, I will be playing more dedicated and hopefully come up with better content for it. That's all I got for this introduction to the Monk. If you happen to be a returning player to Tibia trying out the Monk, and for whatever reason you end up not liking it but enjoy the actual game itself, then definitely give a chance to any of the other vocations. I think Tibia lately has been improving with each change, and the feedback seems to indicate people in general like the state of the game. So if you decide to go for that, please check out my playlist for hunting guides and the Tibia 101 series if you truly feel overwhelmed with the current Tibia. If you got any extra questions, feel free to join my Discord community server. Thank you for watching and happy hunting!